Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic.
Which show ended so poorly that you really wished you hadn't invested so much time in it? The most obvious answer for me is still Game of Thrones. The last season was such an incredible letdown in so many ways and for so many different characters, and it could have been amazing. The truly damning thing about the drop in quality is the fact we had a global pandemic that forced people to stay inside and no one was like, let's rewatch Game of Thrones. I don't think any show will ever catch lightning in a bottle again like Tiger King did. Netflix dropped a show about a gay cowboy country singing meth head in a throuple who owned tigers and conspired to commit a murder for hire at the same time that everyone was locked in their homes 24/7. It was just too perfect. We're rewatching it now and goddamn was it good when it was good. The early and mid-seasons put House of the Dragon to shame. House of Cards. As far as I'm concerned, they never even made a third season. Series ended with the table wrap at the end of season 2. Nothing more was needed. It all went downhill from there. Yup. I rewatched it last year. Stopped after S2 and it felt perfect. No need to continue. I'm just gonna say it like it is, the last season was fucking unbearable because it didn't have Kevin Spacey in it. And they tried to put out a weird scenario instead in response to his being cancelled. I mean, yeah, it's true. Someone can be a good actor and an atrocious human being. Dexter. Like WTF was even that. Anytime someone says they haven't seen that show, I simply tell them, first 4 seasons are the best TV you'll ever see, and the last 4 are the worst. Stop watching after season 4. Season 4 was madness. Lithgow was so amazing. One of the more fascinating villains created on TV. Hello, Dexter Morgan. And then not long after, the absolute gut to the punch ending. True all-time jaw-drop TV moments. I just finished rewatching it on Netflix. Season 5 to 7 weren't as bad as I remember. Not good, but not awful. Then season 8. I mean, really, what the ever-loving fuck happened? Oh, I think I know what happened. Clot buck. Terrible, terrible fucking showrunner. I'm almost certain that's what happened. The one redeeming artifact of Dexter is that it gave us the surprise. Mutha F at #Kerr. Meme from Dokes https://www.youtube.com/watch?v=5 Ganku. I posted this a while back. I'm sure it will be as unpopular as it was then, but I think the ending to Dexter was actually very good, and very true to the show. Here's the comment, spoilers ahead, I'm in the minority here, but I actually love the ending, and think it's one of the best endings of any of the TV shows I've watched. Not because it was fun or satisfying, quite the opposite, but because it was the perfect conclusion to the show. In the opening sequence, and the show was forever just trying to be as good as that amazing opening sequence, we see Dexter get ready for his day. Makes breakfast, shaves, puts on his boots. It's creepy and scary and fun and fascinating. Then, at the end, he leaves his apartment door, and he winks at the camera, and at you, the viewer. There's a little ping sound when he winks. It's a little message, like, hey, I lead a crazy life, and it's romantic and sexy and rewarding because I kill bad guys. Take this little journey with me, it'll be fun. Quote, fast forward, and every season becomes less and less fun, more and more complicated, and a ton of innocent people die. In the end, at the very last scene, he's far off in some grey forest, compared to Miami, the least sexy place possible, and he's totally alone. He knows, without a doubt, that he's a monster. He's destroyed families, hurt children, and made life worse for every single person he's come in contact with. He's a cancer, and he knows it. And he looks into the camera, at you, the viewer, and the gig is up. He's facing the cold reality that he's a dangerous freak, and that there's nothing fun or sexy about him or his existence. He looks into the camera, and there's no wink, no ping sound, just the cold hard truth that he lied to you. His whole life is a lie, and you, the viewer, have just watched 8 years of a guy going around Miami and murdering people. It's not satisfying, because it reveals the lie that Dexter told us on his way out the door every day, it'll be fun. Wink. That's the lie Dexter told himself, and that's the lie that the opening scene of each show got us to believe. The last scene of the series revealed that lie. I actually really like your take on this, thank you for posting it. I haven't watched the show since the original run and now I kind of want to rewatch it. The Walking Dead. Could have cut that show's length in half and it would have been 10x better. Started giving after they spent a whole season on looking for Beth and then Beth immediately got her brains blown out seconds after they found her. Felt like mean-spirited and like they were just wasting our time. I kept watching long after that, but honestly, I think I stopped watching sometime shortly after Negan killed Glenn and Abraham. I think that was his name, but when I look back on it, what they did to Beth is where I started disliking it more. I was so pissed at them for doing that and it was so fucking pointless. My boyfriend wanted to get back into watching it, and I've watched a couple episodes of the first season, but I just don't think I can take watching the Beth arc again, so what's the point? I stopped watching when they killed Glenn. Worth the way the world was going at the time, I just couldn't take it anymore. That moment has to be the single biggest cause of viewer loss any series has ever experienced. It is still not over, but Grey's Anatomy lost me about a decade ago. Wait, it's still going? Question mark. That show was on when I was in school and I'm graying now. After Yang left I kept watching cause I had come so far. After Alex left I was hanging on by a thread. But once they had to take a break because of COVID, I never got back into it and haven't watched it since. I understand why the actor left like he did, but the writers straight up threw away every single ounce of growth Alex had ever had. Alex and Meredith's friendship is one of my favorite things in the world. I still get mad about it. How to Get Away with Murder. Once the original storyline was wrapped up, they should have ended the series. Instead it limped on as though it was some sort of inferior spin-off. I gave up a few episodes along. Oh, and Revenge. It got beyond silly. Revenge got convoluted like Pretty Little Liars, but Emily Van Camp is so fun to watch, I couldn't stop. I stopped watching How to Get Away with Murder once Wes died, felt like the show's jumping the shark moment, and they carried on for seasons after that. Don't even know how it all ended, and I honestly don't really care to. S1 of HTGAWM was so cleverly written that it was a thrill to watch it unravel. S2 couldn't possibly match that, but it was a decent quality show. After that it was just, how much do we have to make Viola Davis suffer to get her another Emmy? Which is always a downward spiral. Under the Dome was interesting. Ended a season with a cliffhanger and never came back. I only watched the series and never read the book, but it seemed like they got through 4 episodes of exploring the premise faithfully and then just went off the rails with nonsense. Didn't read the books, but the cause of the Dome was completely different than in the show. Basically, it was greater than, something like a bunch of alien kids playing, less than. After 208 episodes of How I Met Your Mother and just pissing on 9 seasons of character development and cast chemistry, yeah, Himmam takes the crown. I mean, not sticking the landing is pretty common on show finales, but to outright throw up your middle fingers at the fans, sigh. The show could have gone down with other greats where people are constantly rediscovering it on streaming and seeing younger generations get into it, but no. The only time anyone ever talks about Himmam or even discussed is when discussing how bad the ending is. Himmam is a really interesting case study in storytelling because the ending was good, it just came 3 to 4 seasons too late. The early seasons were clearly building up the Ted plus Robin relationship as being something special, and if the show needed to end after any given season, it could still get a reasonably satisfying end. The problem was that the show was too successful, and to pad out the storyline and throw people off the obvious trail, they opted to include multiple episodes and plot lines that showed how bad Ted and Robin actually were for each other. This then led to other character expansions for Ted, Robin and Barney that were well outside of that original vision and had to be rectified for the finale to make sense, which just was not going to be possible in literally the final episode. The greatest sin though came with the character of the mother, Tracy, not because she died as that had been heavily telegraphed, but because the audience was expected to go from mourning her loss to the infamous, "You're still in love with Aunt Robin." In 30 fucking seconds. I don't care if you are Team Blue French Horn, that 30-second transition is inexcusable. The problem I have with it is that they wrote the mother too well and Christine Milioti nailed the role. So we spent a season getting to know someone that was perfect for the character, and at the end, it was, well, she was hot garbage, let's go dumpster diving into the past. They had a plan for Ted and Robin to end up together, but could have just done a curve and had Ted with his happy ending. Not to mention how Bala Tracy was. Even if Ted was into Robin for 8 seasons. No way a man wants to go to Robin after Tracy lol. The 100. It ended at the end of S5 for me, loudly crying. They did my boy Bellamy so dirty. I was so mad the way his character arc ended. Heroes. I vaguely recall reading a article that said that the original premise of the show was that each season followed different heroes. All of their stories were meant to be self-contained. Which flew right off the rails during a writer's strike lol. That, and Sylar turned out to be way more popular than anyone expected him to be. So instead of killing him at the end of season 1 like they planned, they kept him around. But it was really hard to shoehorn reasons why 1, Sylar isn't killing every hero he meets to steal their powers, and 2, most of the cast isn't trying to kill Sylar, even though he is obscenely powerful and the greatest threat to everyone in the show. Amen. Hallelujah. Yeah, this one started off SOOO strong. I was actually just thinking about heroes and their main antagonist the other day. Sylar, what a crazy name. And then you have the guy literally named Hero. Maybe I'll rewatch the first season or 2 sometime. Santa Clarita Diet. Incredible show, one of my favorites ever, then Netflix just cancelled it on a huge cliffhanger. I know www tired, why did they kill it? Exclamation mark. It's the Netflix model. Production costs go up the longer a series is produced, i.e. new contracts for actors, marketing costs to get new viewers to start watching, etc. If a show doesn't meet Netflix's very strict metrics threshold, they won't hesitate to pull the plug on a show. It was getting so interesting. I remember the night I finished season 3 and googled the release date for 4, heartbroken.